The importance of having your email address correct. It seems there was this couple from Minneapolis, Minnesota, who decided to go to Florida for a few days to thaw out during one particularly cold winter. Since both spouses worked, they had difficulty coordinating their schedules, so the decision was made to have the husband leave for Florida on a certain day, with the wife following him one day later. The man made it down to Florida and arrived at his hotel. Upon getting to his room, he decided to open his laptop and sent his wife back in Minneapolis an email. However, he left off one letter in typing his wife's email address and sent the email off without realizing his error. In another part of the country, a widow had just returned from the funeral of her husband, a Methodist pastor of many years who had been called to glory just a few days earlier. She decided to check her email because she was expecting to hear from her husband's relatives and friends. Upon reading the first email, she let out a loud scream, fainted, and fell to the floor. The woman's son rushed into the room and found his mother on the floor. He glanced up at the computer screen and saw the following email message. To my loving wife, I've just been checked in. Everything has been prepared for your arrival here tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you then. Your devoted husband. P.S. Sure is hot down here. On the outskirts of town, there was a big old pecan tree by the cemetery fence. One day, two boys filled up a bucket full of nuts and sat down by the tree, out of sight, and began dividing the nuts. One for you, one for me. One for you, one for me, said one boy. Several were dropped and rolled down toward the fence. Another boy came riding along the road on his bicycle. As he passed, he thought he heard voices from inside the cemetery. He slowed down to investigate. Sure enough, he heard, one for you, one for me, one for you, one for me. He just knew what it was. Oh my, he shuddered. It's Satan and the Lord dividing souls at the cemetery. He jumped back on his bike and rode off. Just around the bend, he met an old man with a cane hobbling along. Come here quick, said the boy. You won't believe what I heard. Satan and the Lord are down at the cemetery dividing up the souls. The man said, Beat it, kid. Can't you see it's hard for me to walk? When the boy insisted, though, the man hobbled to the cemetery. Standing by the fence, they heard, one for you, one for me, one for you, one for me. The old man whispered, Boy, you've been telling the truth. Let's see if we can see the devil himself. Shaking with fear, they peered through the fence, yet were still unable to see anything. The old man and the boy gripped the wrought iron bars of the fence tighter and tighter as they tried to get a glimpse of Satan. At last they heard, one for you, one for me, and one last one for you. That's all. Now let's go get those nuts by the fence and we'll be done. Okay, I don't know if these are going to show up or not. This is a Dalmatian, and there's all these kittens around it with spots. And it says, honey, please just calm down. Let me explain. And that one, it's got a snake, and it says, you are here. The mice are looking at it. And the next one says, sometimes I feel that I have the worst job in the world. And the toilet paper says, yeah, right.